Our money lead now. We are only 8 days away from the deadline for the U.S. to raise the debt ceiling, according to the Secretary of the Treasury, and seemingly 0 days closer to a deal that would avoid a first ever catastrophic default by the U.S. government. Negotiations are continuing today as House Republicans and the White House seem to be at an impasse. Republicans say they want to raise the debt ceiling, but only if it includes spending cuts. Democrats say they want a clean bill to raise the debt ceiling. Joining us now for a bipartisan discussion, Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania and Republican Congressman Drew Ferguson of Georgia. Thanks to both of you for being here. Congressman Ferguson, I want to start with you because one of your Republican colleagues, Matt Gaetz, who was referring to the House GOP bill when he says limit, save, grow, just said this about the debt ceiling to Semaphore, and I want to get your response to it. Let's take a listen to Congressman Gaetz.
I think my conservative colleagues, for the most part, support limit, save, grow, and they don't feel like we should negotiate with our hostage.
They don't feel like, meaning Republicans or conservative colleagues, that we should negotiate with our hostage. He seems to be saying that Republicans have taken the economy as a hostage. Is that how you view it?
No, I don't. Look, we have done our work in the House. We're the only body here in Washington that's actually voted responsibly to raise the debt limit, and we wish that our Senate colleagues would do the same. And we wish that that President Biden would have engaged in this debate earlier. Look, we have got some very modest spending reforms out there, things that we know that Americans are for, and we need the other parties to come to the table.
Congressman Boyle, did your party make a mistake by not passing a clean debt ceiling bill last December when you still controlled the House, and why didn't you?
Well, as you may know, Jake, I actually led an effort to do exactly that, as well as pass some permanent reforms last term, and obviously I wish that that would have taken place. But we're here in the present right now, and so rather than worrying about or wondering what may have been, I think it's important to focus on the here and now. And I have a different effort that I'm pushing, the discharge petition. We just reached 213 signatures. Every single House Democrat has signed that petition. We are ready and willing to have a vote to raise the debt ceiling today and end this potential catastrophe once and for all. And I certainly hope that a number of Republican colleagues will step up, add their name to that petition, and we can end this right now.
Congressman Ferguson, he needs 5 Republicans to sign that discharge petition to force this bill onto the floor for a House for a clean debt ceiling bill. I know you're not there now, but would you do that if we were about to hit default and there was still no progress? Is that something you'd be willing to do?
No, it is not, because we are going to make progress, and we have got a spending problem in Washington, D.C. As a function of GDP, we have the highest tax receipts coming in that we've ever had. The problem is that we have the highest spending that we've ever had, and it's unsustainable. And look, doing things like simply saying we're going to spend less money this year or next year than we did last year is not unreasonable. Thinking about getting our able-bodied adults that are ages 19 to 49 to work and participate in our economy. We need their participation in their economy in order to receive some federal benefits. That's not unreasonable. The pandemic is over. Clawing back unspent COVID funds makes sense. And America needs to be energy independent and on all fronts, and good permitting reforms, both for fossil fuels and the green energy sector, are reasonable ask. We think if those things go into place, it makes our economy grow, it makes it stronger, we're able to save some money, and we have already voted to raise the debt limit in this responsible manner.
Congressman Boyle, polls indicate that 60% of the American people want the debt ceiling raised with spending cuts. Is there anything that your colleague just said there, when he was making a list of things that he said are not unreasonable, that you find unreasonable?
Well, there are a few points to keep in mind, Jake. First, I voted a number of times, as did my Democratic colleagues, to raise the debt ceiling when Donald Trump was president. So did Republicans. 3 increases in the debt ceiling, none of them had any spending cuts. The only thing that has changed is that we now have a Democrat in the White House instead of a Republican. I have said, though, moving forward, of course I am willing to negotiate about what next year's budget looks like. We have to do that every year anyway by midnight September 30th. We certainly should have that negotiation, but it should be separate on the fundamental question as to whether or not America will pay its bills. We must avoid default. That cannot be negotiable. But sure, we should negotiate about what spending looks next year and the year beyond. But let's be clear, when we talk about the national debt, there are two sides of that equation. There's the spending side, but there's also the revenue side. Unfortunately, too many of my Republican friends want to pursue tax cuts for the richest 1% that only add trillions of dollars more to the national debt.
Congressman Ferguson, I have to say, it doesn't sound like you two are very close.
I mean, it's, you know, we talk about giving tax cuts to the wealthiest. Just look at the Inflation Reduction Act and now almost $1.2 trillion of green energy tax credits that are going to go to the richest companies and the richest individuals to offset their taxes. So there's a little hypocrisy here in this. Bottom line, look at the revenues coming in there at the highest level. Look at the spending that's at the highest level. We have got to focus on driving spending down. And by the way, what we're asking for to spend at 22 levels, that's exactly where we are right now. So if you think the world's going to come to an end if we spend at 22 levels, fiscal year 22 levels, all we're doing is spending exactly where we are right now.
So, Congressman Ferguson, we're out of time. So this is a yes or no question. Should Congress break for Memorial Day weekend, given the fact that you guys are still, your sides are still so far apart? Yes or no?
Well, we've done our job in the House. We asked the Senate to come forward and do it. No, we're willing to meet any time to solve this problem.
Republican Congressman Drew Ferguson, Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle, thanks to both of you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.